Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my friend David Maria. Hi, David. How are you?
Good morning, Kathy. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today.
Yep. Well, David and I talk a lot anyway, so this may be more like a chat than a real interview because I am a huge fan of his Freedom from the Known class. I guess I've been through, well, if you count the live one that we did, I two hands of experiencing this remarkable opportunity to release your patterns and the programs that are holding you back from really experience your divine self, right, David?
Absolutely.
So, David, I wanted to say, so again, David's experience, for people that don't know you, could you tell them a little bit about your journey as far as being activated in Africa, but you might give us a little bit before that. But for the people that don't know what the aperture that happened, could you explain that or try? Sorry.
Okay, so like a lot of people, my life has not necessarily been, shall we say, easy. I went through a fair amount of abuse as a child, and I don't want to focus on that. If you looked at my life from the outside, it would look like a normal lower middle class life, no big deal. But from the inside, it was not quite so pretty, and that impacted just about everything that I did until much later in my life. I've always been sensitive. I've always been aware of energy. I've always been aware of everything that surrounds us that is not physical. I could always feel that, even if I didn't have a clue, which I didn't. If I didn't have a clue how to be able to respond appropriately rather than react. And finally, as part of the destiny path, because we all have a destiny path that we walk, no matter how that presents to us. So finally, in December of 2018, I started having really deep prophetic dreams about being in Africa, just one dream after another. And one that particularly stood out was that I was visiting with a friend of mine named Vincent Katuku, and he runs a school for orphan girls in Kenya. And we were just enjoying the evening sunset. We were just standing on the edge of the school looking at the savannah. And these three African kings materialized out in front of me. I didn't start crying. I began to sob in the dream because I recognized them. I knew who they were. And it's been a very, very long time since I had any contact with them. Hadn't had any contact with them in this lifetime. That turned out to be deeply prophetic and led to a trip to Africa with two other good friends, and actually meeting one of the people from the dream. His name is Samuel Kamitha, and he is a seer within the Kituyu people. And he is one of 12 seers that are the keepers of Mount Kenya or Mount Kirannaga, which is their name for the mountain, not ours. Not the British renaming of everything. And that was a major awakening. He gave me a blessing, which turned out not to be a blessing. It turned out to be multiple lightning bolts coming down through the top of my head and just completely shattering me from the inside. And I my entire life from top to bottom was blown apart and reorganized in a brand new way. The the awareness of who I am, the awareness of who I've always been began its process of coming to the surface to where it's more present with me. I've made several other additional trips back to Kenya since then. I've been inducted as the first ever 13th seer into their society, and of course, the first ever white man that's ever been inducted at this level. And it's truly been an absolute phenomenal journey in terms of doing this, because I've often been heard to say, some days I don't know who I am, I don't know where I am, and some days I don't even know when I am, because everything has changed so dramatically that I'm not the person in any sense that I used to be. I've said many times that yes, in that first trip I did go to Africa and I did return, but David didn't. David was sent away. He's returned now, because that's a necessary part of the journey, is to incorporate all of the parts of us, including the human parts. But he needed to go to school for a while, and then I needed a break from him. So after that first trip, I spent 3 months just sitting in the living room of my house, staring out the window, and kind of in a, not kind of, but in a really deep trance state, because it was transforming me from the inside out.
Wow. So what happened when you did that is you had an opportunity to clear a bunch of things without, so your distortions of how you see this world sort of dematerialized. Is that a good way to call it? I mean, it's...
And I still have that opportunity, because I'm not done. I'm not done with that work.
We're still here.
As Ram Dass says, I'm not done cooking yet. There's
Yeah.
there's still a few seeds in there.
Well, that's what I really enjoy about the Freedom from the Known event that you do, that it's on Saturdays. And what I find is that after we do the class, is actually the first part is the discussion, where David will open up a subject, or we'll have a discussion about results that we may have had from the week before meditation. And then the second part is a meditation where David opens up his field to all that is, so that you can remember who you really are, and release anything that you are not gradually. It doesn't, most people don't have the zap from the heavens and the 3-month incapacity to do anything. I just want to reassure people I'm still doing a lot of stuff while I'm doing this.
Even though that zap is still your favorite.
I love the buzz. Well, I think that so much of this is, how do you get your joy back? I mean, I think that we've taken ourselves so seriously, and everything's so heavy. And certainly if you watch the news, or if you're in an environment of still the old school business model, there's a lot of fear and a lot of manipulation that after a while you just look at it and laugh. It's not magical. It's not creative. It's so how do I explain it?
Low frequency.
Well, it's not just low frequency. It's the structure of it is playing it safe, and it doesn't allow for that creative burst of the only reason we're here, I think, is to create something new and keep growing consciousness. And when you stay stuck in an old pattern, and the pattern obviously doesn't work anymore, not the way it did, it doesn't allow you to access that creative mode, right?
Absolutely,
Oh, you
absolutely.
got the green Tara. It's
I'm, I'm,
beautiful.
I'm trying to adjust my camera so that it works a little better. So
Well,
the basic premise of the Eden template, which is what I received in the first trip to Kenya in 2018, is kind of multifold. But the basic premise of the course itself is that even though we may not currently in this moment remember it, we are, every single one of us, there's nobody that is outside of this. We are the I am presence.
right.
That's who we are. We are both the creator of our life and the creation itself. So what is there to be afraid of? So in the course of the class, what we do is we go through a series of um, meditation and discussion processes designed to just remove the filters that we've put over the top of ourselves that prevent us from remembering who we really are, such as fear and pain and lack, whatever it might be. And then we also do things, meditations to help enhance the energy channels within the body. So we're not discovering something, we're just remembering who we really are, who we've always been. This is who we are. And we're here to master our own energy. Each one of us. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your position in life is. I don't care what you're experiencing. You are here to master your own energy and discover that you already are that living master.
Right.
And you're here to experience it in the body. Now it's interesting with the classes because this one coming up on October 7th is when it begins. This will be the 10th time that I've offered it, and it's completely different from the first ones. The course in all of the classes, the individual classes, the individual meditations, they're dynamic living beings, and that they're not static. They change and grow and expand constantly, and this one will be no exception. If you attended, say, the first two or three classes, and you come to this one, it will be different than what you experienced.
Right. Yay. Well, that's what I have found, that I'm surprised. I am surprised because so much still wants to be released out of my field. And what's happened is the can do attitude and the creativity that's coming through. And I keep using that word creativity because I don't really know what other word to use, but it's basically, when I've been around a lot of the near death experiencers or the people that are on the enlightened path, they usually are they've released the fear they have of being seen fully. And that release allows you to be more integrated into the now. And there isn't the same triggers that you might have had where somebody says something and it sounds like what your father said. And so you already judge it or put it in that category. That's all gone. It's sort of everyone's doing the best they can, and you see it that way, but you get to see your part in all of the movie that you're in rather than project it out to these other characters, because it's your perception that's running your life, right?
what your life looks like. That's your consciousness.
Right. Right.
What my life looks like outside of this interview, that's my consciousness.
Right.
If
Right.
there if there's something going on, it's not out. Nothing is outside of any of us.
Well, well,
It's always a projection from the inside.
but let's oops, let's share some of the amazing results that people have gotten. Could we share a little bit without sharing names? Share some things that you've seen, how people their life has unfolded, um, how their life is more full or in benefit to the all. Could you share any of that?
Yeah, people generally experience exponential or quantum increase in the amount of peace that they experience inside themselves. What that really means is that we don't become peaceful, is that we become peace. We are peace. And as we remove all of the filters, the overlays, the belief systems, so I can easily say, even if there's still something running inside of me, that I don't believe in anything anymore. Because whatever it is that I believe, that automatically makes it true. Even even if it's not, I I bring it into being. And so beliefs, no matter what they are, no matter how high and elevated they are, all they are is a filter that overlays your direct experience of whatever life is, and being able to perceive that. And it can be a really complex picture sometimes, but none of us go through an experience of what can be called self-realization. Nobody has ever become self-realized. We're already realized. All we do is remove the layers that are on top of us. If there's parts of us that we've pushed out through whatever the mechanism, whether it be trauma or abuse or whatever it is, if we welcome all those parts back, we integrate them, everything gradually in whatever pace that it happens, because it's different for all of us. However this works in terms of our own personal journeys, eventually we remember who we are. And when you remove all of those filters that we've accepted, some of them are filters that come from us. Some come through our familial lines, our ancestors. Some through cultural influences or religious influences. Whatever the source, it does not matter. Once we remove all of those filters, then there we are, and realization is already there. There's nothing to realize. It's just a question of remembering.
Right.
Sometimes we get to play in the sandbox for a little while to do some work. Our personal sandbox of our emotions and our thoughts, etc., etc. So whatever it is, gradually we just reveal ourselves to ourselves, and we remember who we are.
Beautiful.
And who we are is the divine. Who we are is the creator. There is no separation between us and all of creation and the creator. There is none.
Perfect.
It's,
Perfect.
it's literally not possible.
Well, but I think that people don't know what that exactly means until they start to feel liberated. And that's what I could tell you that is the amount of opportunity to see without story, to see what's happening in my life, to see what's happening in other people's lives, and be totally contented at watching it rather than jumping into it, especially family stuff. where you just get to watch and not have to worry about it. It's a whole different perspective of life, and it is very productive. What I was trying to get you to talk about, which didn't work, but we'll try again. Um, was the changes that I've seen with people that have taken the course with me on Saturdays, where I've seen people go from being timid about their gifts, or angry, really angry about their life, to total cracking open their hearts so that they're living as a loving, productive being. One artist, since we've been on this journey, now has shows and is doing really well with selling her art. And she, when we started, I think she was pretty introverted. Then another person that I'm thinking about was angry almost. She would not attack you, but ask you to define terms over and over and over again to feel safe. She didn't necessarily feel safe. And then now she's just, her heart's wide open.
Wide open, and people experience what it's like to live a completely and totally abundant life, and that abundance is everything. It's joy and happiness and doing the things that you want and having the resources available to you to do those things. It's having everything show up just at the absolute perfect moment, and you had no idea, and all of a sudden it just appears. As we let go of all of the stuff that literally we're dragging behind us like a chain with a big weight on it, as we let go of that, we just come forth.
Right.
Who we really are comes out and begins to shine with this phenomenal light that is present in each and every one of us. And the manifestation of that in each of our lives is different for everybody. So what I consider to be abundance is not what somebody else considers to be abundance. But whatever it is, we get to live this juicy, wonderful, loving, kind, non-reactionary. That's really, really a big one, is that we don't react to circumstances anymore. We come to that place where there is a divine neutrality in us, which is a deep, deep compassion towards what we see around us, towards the circumstances of the world, but we don't let the world disturb that peace that we have. So we're in the world, but at the same time, we're not of it.
But I want to reassure people that it's very grounding at the same time. I've been more productive and been able to help more people in my business than I had before, because the story of everything is everything's a learning experience rather than a trauma. Or anxiety. I think I probably had a lot of anxiety about things that now it's just a waste of energy.
There's no probably about that, Kathy.
Okay.
So
Don't tell anybody. Okay. You just did. Okay.
This work happens in the body. So the old way of doing spiritual work, which is passing and fading, is that you would do whatever practice was presented to you, whatever that is. Maybe it went through a teacher, maybe it didn't. But whatever it is, you would have a moment of realization that we might call enlightenment, which is really just a little tiny blip on the depth of our journey. And in that moment, it was very common for people, as they enter that level of mastery, to drop their body and go back into non-physical and now continue to do their work as ascended masters. That's not what we're doing now. We're doing something that is brand new. This is embodiment. We're doing the clearing work that we have, that we go through in order to shed everything, so that our soul, so that the I am presence can come into the physical body. That requires the physical body, the emotional body, and the mental bodies to go through whatever degree of cleansing is necessary in order to purify the vibration and raise your personal frequencies enough that your soul can actually approach and come into you. That's really big and deep work, because we're not leaving. And this has never happened before in this universe. This is now the prevalent energy that is present and available to everybody. There's no restrictions here. Everybody can, whenever they're ready, will be able to walk into that awareness with themselves. And my voice is a little stuttery today, and I know that. I don't know what to do about it. It's just how I talk sometimes when I get on a roll, and I know I do ramble a little bit.
Oh, that was perfect. I want people to understand that the opportunity to take this kind of a class is very different than most religious practices or practices that have a certain process. This is really a very loving and soft way to reveal more of yourself to you. And you don't have to know, for instance, a lot of the processes work where they go deep for multi-generations. And rather than doing a lot of past life work where you are very aware of this life or that life or what happened and when you died and all of that, you just don't seem to have to know the story. That's what I've really benefited from, getting out of all the stories, and that space that it's freed up is really remarkable. But it's not disorienting. It's not. It's liberating. When I did the Avatar class, I did the Wizards class, and I had a spiritually transformative experience over 20 years ago, or about 20 years ago, and I still think about it every day. I saw myself as light, and wanted more to fit into here. I had been asking for a new teacher so that I could hold more light. And I heard David being interviewed by a lady from Ireland, and I just heard his voice and started crying. And that's my register for like, okay, pay attention. Tears are good. Tears are not bad for me.
Tears are wonderful.
And so
I've spent the last 2 days crying. So
yeah. Well, so the thing is that once you realize that you have the capacity to hold more of your soul essence, your own light into this physical vessel, and this is the time that we need as much light here, in my opinion. That's my game that I'm playing, is holding more light. So this is one of I think it's fast and effective without a lot of process or story that keeps you from stopping. A lot of times, if you have readings and somebody else does a reading for you, a lot of times what you'll do is you'll take what they said and you'll work that, which is fine. I do the soul illumination readings, but the thing is, this is you being liberated to see yourself. So the empowerment level is off the charts. You don't have to go to David after each thing. You let the energy keep moving, and you do get recorded classes. You get recorded 2 parts. The first part is the discussion time, and then David breaks it into just the meditation. So you can go back and listen to that meditation as often as you need, especially if you have pain or fear. There's meditation specifically, which we're calling classes, but there's transmissions for it specifically for those subjects, that if you feel, oops, I still feel something, I want to clear more, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, I'm not, there's nothing really, really, truly, there's nothing special about me. There's absolutely nothing different about me than who you are and everybody that's watching or listening to this video. There may be one of degrees where we're all unique individuals. I have my soul path. Each and every other person has their own soul path. There are many, many, many phenomenally gifted and incredibly beautiful people that are on the planet right now that are functioning as world teachers. These beings have the ability, when you interact with them, whatever that interaction is, it may be as simple as just meeting each other on a street for a few minutes, or in a supermarket or something like that, or you may attend an actual class where you're interacting with them. But they have their energy field, their soul, their connection to the I am has the ability to bring through in transmission form multiple codes that change everybody that they encounter, no matter how big. There's no way of knowing how big a change that's going to be. I'm not a big fan of flashes of realization. I'm more the take a little bit more time and build up the strength of your nervous system so that those flashes are not quite so overwhelming.
Right.
So
Perfect.
my field has the ability to do that. And I stress again, this does not in any way, shape, or form make me special in any way. It's not. Everybody that comes to the course, everybody that comes to any of the classes that I offer, whether it's a free event or anything else, everybody that comes is that same capability inside themselves. They may not be ready for it just yet. They may be a young soul, and they're not ready to do this level of work. There's no judgment around that. We all are who we are. We're where we are on our journey, on our path. And as Ram Dass so ever so eloquently said, we're all just walking each other home, because we're all the creator. Yes, we have our unique manifestations. Just ask anybody that comes to class. I'm kind of a quirky guy, and there are funny things that come out of my mouth sometimes that don't seem to make much sense, but they are funny. They are definitely humorous, and I appreciate that part of me. So it's this is a journey that even if you don't resonate with me listening to this video, even if it doesn't stir your heart, there is somebody on the planet that is the perfect person that you can study with. they're all over the globe. They're way too numerous to even begin to think about mentioning. But the world right now is filled with master teachers that are not guru type people. Guru type people, that time is done. It's over now. It's time for everybody to remember that they are their own guru. That the realization that you are hoping to be able to discover, you already are. It's already in you. And the classes that I offer, these are techniques that all come through meditation. They all come as transmissions. Oftentimes they come through spontaneously. You can ask Kathy and anybody else that have come to the classes. Every now and then I will say something like, did I just say that in my out loud voice? Because I've started classes, started the meditations, and knew going in, knew at the beginning exactly what I was gonna do, what was gonna come through. And the moment that I open my mouth, something entirely comes through. The transmissions are living, dynamic beings, and they happen. They just come through as they wish it. And I've learned to, shall we say, just let my mouth have its own way when it wants to speak, because what comes out is much better than anything that this brain up here could conceive of.
So I want you to know, Joanne Palladino wrote, David, grateful for your presence and blessed that I have received your guidance to radiate the truth. And David, I'm not.
Now, that is a small miracle, Joanne.
Well, and she's so skinny too, and she has to keep eating. Okay, and then Spirit Talk with Lizzie said hello. So hi, Lizzie.
Hi, Lizzie.
So, David, why do you think it is that we can't see our stories and our blocks? Why do you think this whole game is set up that everyone else can see everything that we're trying to hide? But what is that about this game? Do you have any ideas?
Human beings have this innate ability to think of themselves as really good people, really kind people, generous people, when in fact they might be really incredibly messed up. You know, they might be thieves, they might be liars, you know, they may be criminals, and at the same time, they still think of themselves with some kind of a positive self-image. We have that ability. No, unless you're actively walking the path on remembering who you are and waking up, then you really don't want to be too critical of yourself, because it's makes life too difficult. Once you start to wake up, once you start to remember who you are, then that's a whole different story. Then you become more enthusiastic about finding these things. But I mean, everybody has done messed up stuff. I don't care who you are. I don't care how perfect your life has been, even if nothing untold has ever happened for you or been done by you. There's still messed up and distorted energies in there, and that's okay, because it's part of the human condition. We've all been through just about everything imaginable over the course of the many lives that we've all lived, the incarnational stream that we're on. And without judgment, without judging, learning how not to judge ourselves. What was it that Dalai Lama said? That if your compassion doesn't extend to yourself, then it's not deep enough.
Right.
That's one of the really wonderful things that we that we definitely need to learn is because we need to learn to be really gentle and kind to ourselves. Nothing comes from beating ourselves up. And one of the reasons that the stories don't matter is because they're stories. They might as well be fairy tales. And if you've done even a modicum of research into brain chemistry and neurology, things like neurolinguistic programming, then you know that our brains are incapable of telling the difference between a real and an imagined experience. So if you've got something going on inside that is you consider to be negative, then change the narrative, reimagine it, re-engineer it into something that is different, because your brain can't tell the difference.
Isn't that wild?
It's phenomenal when you begin to realize how fluid the brain really is, and really and truly, at a certain point, you want to lift everything right down here to the heart.
Yeah.
And that's when things really begin to shift for us, is when we're living from our heart. Yes, we need to have a brain in order to be able to run our body and get in our cars and drive places, et cetera, et cetera. Although I'm pretty flexible on that one anymore, because I've had some pretty unusual experiences over the years of not being in the car while it's driving. Even though the body is sitting there, I wasn't. But nonetheless, we still need the brains. We still have these bodies here, even though we are the limitlessness, the infinity of creation, and the unfathomable depth of being the creator. At the same time, there is still all of this around us. There's still all of this creation, and there's no separation anywhere in there.
Right. That's what I want you to let you know. Spirit Talk with Lizzie says to know yourself is to embrace all those sides so you can flow forward.
Fabulous.
And then Denise is here. She says, hi, beautiful beings. Hi, Denise. Miss you, Denise. So anyway, when I was referring to why you can't see yourself, is there's a lot of times in class that you'll say to someone, who is the I that is speaking? And that's what I was referring to, that there's somehow a disconnect in the way that this energy flows, and the consciousness, the expanded consciousness is available, that it still separates into this individual being or personality, I guess is really. Could you speak to that? The personality, as it starts releasing all these stories, could you speak at all to that? Who is I?
We are all holographic projections of our consciousness. And when we project ourselves all the way out down into this density that we call a body, when we take incarnation in down in here in this particular dimension, one of the first things that happens is when we do emerge, is we forget who we are. We lose the awareness of our full multidimensionality, of our awareness of the entirety of the all. So if I just walk up to a person on the street, and with complete and total sincerity, total knowingness, which is different than the brain, knowingness of the heart and the soul and the spirit, and look at them deeply in the eyes and tell them that they're God, which is the truth, most people will not be able to accept that. They don't have the receptor sites. They don't have the nervous system connections to source to be able to even begin to comprehend the depth of what that means.
Beautiful.
And trust me here, I'm not referring to myself as a perfectly enlightened being in this moment. I'm not. I'm definitely still cooking. There's no question about that. But what I am saying is that until there is a neural pathway opened inside of you, which is done through purification and shedding all of the excessive layers that have gotten built up around us, until there is even a small spark of that neural connectivity, then we don't have a receptor site to be able to really begin to feel the depth of what that means. And it's different for some of us. Some of us experience quick flashes, and then we can't hold it, but we get that inspirational juice that flows through us, and it encourages us to be able to continue on the journey of our dissolving, because we are dissolving our personalities. They may remain, but our egos generally just start to dissolve and collapse and begin to merge back into who we've always been. We merge back into spirit.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes, I think that's really important.
And just to continue, every now and then in class, somebody is speaking from such a perspective of I, and I use that as a technique just to interrupt it in order to kind of break that pattern, if you will, that energy flow that they're creating, and remind them that there's something else going on here.
Yeah.
And you haven't figured it out yet. But that's a misnomer too. That's inappropriate use of the English language, because this cannot be figured out. You cannot use your brain to figure out who you are.
Well, again, I'm calling that a lot of it story, because when you are in a place of I versus them, and rather than seeing the divinity in the other, then or in the situation, Einstein said, whether you think this is a loving world, a loving universe, or a fearful universe, you're right. And so the opportunity is to see this as a loving universe, and everything's happening for you, and to see how to play. Plus, I wanted to add one more thing. I feel like since I've done these processes with you for over a year, that I wake up feeling full of possibility for the day. I feel like my attitude of can do and kind of the fun of life has come back. And that's what I don't know that you could say that's happened for everyone, but for me, I can definitely tell a difference.
That's fabulous, Kathy, because we're meant to have fun. We're meant to be able to live this juicy, loving, really happy, exuberant, wonderful life.
Yep.
And just enjoy ourselves. I mean, boy, what do you think the expression "lighten up" really means?
Well, it's lighten up, and it's the opportunity to expand your viewpoint, so that when you're in fear, your viewpoint's very condensed, you're in protection, you're everything's out there. And when your expanded view is open to you, there's so many other opportunities of co-creating and seeing problem solving. I mean, we're in a time period of huge change. And this is
Everything of the old is collapsing. We're entering into an entirely new age.
right.
We've just dipped our little tiny toes into the water of what that is, and this is the time when we remember, and each one of us has the option to become a master creator.
Right.
And we're all going to get together, whatever that means, and co-create the new world that we want to live in. And it doesn't take a rocket science to know how messed up the current way of doing things is. I recently implemented a drill a well project to drill a well for a village that doesn't have a reliable, dependable source of water. And that started out by being triggered that I did some homework that last year the world's government spent over $2,200 billion on the military and a well to bring clean water to a village that doesn't have any. Might be done for $2,000. Yeah. That's the very definition of insanity, and that has to collapse. It just it cannot sustain itself under the weight of its own dysfunction.
Right.
And there is no question about it. We are all just one people. We are all here together. And that, as that lovely quote by Sri Aurobindo, when one of his students asked him, "How should I treat others?" And he immediately said, "There are no others."
Yep.
When doing something simple like how I'm participating in putting together a well, that's easy because we're doing it for ourselves.
Right.
If you remember back in the 70s when they were doing aid for Africa and the words are slipping out of my brain, but it's like we're saving our own lives. This is us. This is us. If there's a child that is hungry, that's us that's hungry. If there's a child that's ill, that's us that's ill. If there's a family that needs housing, that's us that is homeless. There's no way that we can separate ourselves. And yes, every person is responsible for the manifestation of their lives. Nonetheless, that does not absolve us of our, not necessarily obligation, but responsibility to be able to help and take inspired action to change things wherever we have that possibility. Right. Not everybody's going to have the funds to be able to donate $1 million to some organization to be able to do something, but we all can do something, even if it's just to be kind to the next person that we meet. And every increment of kindness changes the world for the better. And if there's enough pieces of kindness, all of a sudden the world changes and it's kind.
That's perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to show your website right now. I think I am. Here we go. Here we go. So this is the URL to go to sign up for the Freedom from the Known class that starts this Saturday.
There's a link on the homepage, Kathy, too, that takes you right there.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. Well, I
All
did
right.
it. Okay. So do you want to, I'll scroll where you talk to this.
Go to the homepage.
Go to the homepage first.
Yeah.
Let's see if, beautiful. Okay.
That's the transmission that happened in Kenya in 2018.
Perfect. So let's see.
If you click on that image right there in the center, that will take you now
This,
the one below activation on
oh, there we
yeah.
go. Okay, register. Okay, here we go. Okay,
If you
thank
it makes it easier to be able to navigate.
you. Okay.
So this is just a compilation of many of the classes that have come through dreams and have come through meditations and have also come through. Sometimes I have no idea what's going to happen. A class generates itself in the moment, and it's completely different than what I thought it might be or what it was going to be. So at one level, at a very deep level, I am a conscious channel from within the monad, from within the soul family group that I'm a part of, that is in unity consciousness. Many of the souls that are there have never come into incarnation, and so because I am them and I'm part of them, they can speak with me. They can use my voice, but it's not like I get taken over. This is all done while I'm totally awake, and it happens because of me, and it happens through me, and it happens as me all at the same time. It's really interesting to attempt to even remotely verbalize what it is that happens. But it is a stream of consciousness that flows through. And all of the classes that are here have been generated through that stream of consciousness. And it's really important to remember that when you're in that stream of consciousness, that's who we are. That's in those moments, that's who I am. The energy of the Creator flows through us as us. So here you'll find a lot of things about what the class is or the classes are. You'll discover information about the dates, information about each individual class, and this is almost laughable at one level, because those are pretty well defined in terms of what each of the classes are, and yet in the moment when it comes time to do it, well, it's going to be whatever it is. And as you can see by the red date there, very soon I'm going to be in Colorado for a little over a week, doing some public speaking and sharing some classes over the weekend. So there'll be one weekend that we won't have class there.
Add to stage. I want people to know that I'm participating in this as well, because as David alluded to, this is not, David's human is also getting upgraded alongside of all of us, but the transmission.
I do the classes right along with everybody else.
Yep. And so there.
And as you can easily attest, when I fall down on my face in front of everybody, even if it was during the week between classes, I talk about it.
Right. Well, what I want everyone to know is that if this is calling to you, please watch other interviews that we've done and go to David's website and see what else and feel it out, because this is a rare opportunity to quickly and efficiently release blocks that you have. And this spiritual journey will serve you and your ancestors, your whole family, your whole every aspect of your life. This spiritual journey will change who you are at a core for the better. And I just want to enlist as many people as possible to do that, because it's all hands on deck right now, as far as I can see, to be awake and aware and in loving kindness during these changing times. It will have a much different outcome than what we have had in the past. So, this is the second time that David's come to Colorado, and this opportunity is quite rare to do these. The series, a big part of the series of the 11 classes, over most of it over a weekend, which I egg him on to try to do as much as possible.
And the course is now 12 classes. And I honestly don't know that I'm going to offer it like this anymore past this. This may be the last time that I do it.
Why?
Maybe that I offer it once a year or something on that order, and break them up into 4 segments that are only 3 weeks long and less expensive, so that it's more affordable for everybody to be able to attend, and it doesn't take up so much time. I'm very cognizant of the fact that, especially if you have a family, that committing to a weekly process on a Saturday, which may be your only real day off to spend time for family time and your kids, et cetera. Plus, it's not like you just come to the class and the class is over and you get up and run around and do whatever. No, there's some integration time that goes into that follows up with it. So I'm just looking to make it easier for people to be able to attend, more affordable for people to be able to attend. And what I don't know what that's going to look like yet.
Okay. Well, then please consider taking this one, because I can't imagine not getting to do the whole work. The gift that you give yourself. That's all I can say.
I'm not saying it's going to go away completely.
Okay.
I don't know what it's going to look like. Just
okay. Okay. Well, we need to wrap up. The best way to get a hold of you, David, is
through my website. You can also find me on Facebook on my personal profile and also the company profile.
Okay.
And I always love to hear from people. I'm sometimes slow in responding to emails, but I do my best.
Okay. So everyone, that's the edentemplate.com, and I have put the classes link as well into the description. And I really, really, with all my heart, hope that you'll join us starting this Saturday to be the beautiful divine being that you are. So thank you, David.
Thank you, Kathy, and blessings, everybody. It's been an absolute delight and a pleasure to be here with all of you, and especially to be here with Kathy. Yeah. She's always so generous in sharing my time with everybody.
Great. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Share this, please.